Hi, you're not seeing me on a Thursday, you're actually seeing me on a Friday. I am so sorry about that. I was just having a rough day today, or yesterday. My day's better now. Today I wanted to talk about villains. Specifically, how in stories there's usually some external factor that's like the villain, the antagonist of the story. There's always him who's like ruining their life, you know? Or them who's ruining your life. There's always just like someone else you can blame and like point to when it comes to like why is my life miserable or why am I struggling right now. But I would say that the best stories are when it's actually a you versus you situation where the main character realizes it's like he has internal conflict or she has internal conflict and she has to get through that, and like that's how she actually like breaks barriers and levels up and whatever, breakthrough, blah blah, that stuff. I was just thinking about that because, well, going back to perfectionism, a thing that's actually a reoccurring theme in my life. I literally talk about that all the time in therapy because it's like one of the biggest things I struggle with. But when it comes to perfectionism, I think one thing that one aspect of my life where it really comes out is like when I have to ask for feedback to people who I want to impress, to people whose opinion I really care about. Of course, you ask people for their opinion because you respect their opinion. That's completely normal. But like for me, I feel like I get a visceral reaction when I have to ask for feedback from someone whose opinion I really care about, like you or like a really good friend, etc., etc. And I was talking to my therapist about it and I was like crying. I was like freaking out about like, oh my god, my friend sent me an email that was like feedback on my resume and I feel sick. Oh my gosh. My first reaction was that they literally can probably point out a bunch of flaws and this is why they won't like me anymore. Or they'll see all my flaws and they won't want to be friends with me. I know that sounds really irrational, but that is genuinely how I've been feeling and how I do feel. And I had to go through the exercise of reading this email to my therapist so I could literally hear the words and recognize that the feedback that my friend was giving me was totally fine and totally normal, and that they aren't my enemy and they don't hate me. They don't hate my guts. They're not trying to like come for me, and it's not a me versus them situation like at all. If anything, I think it's just me versus me. It's you versus you or whatever. I feel like a lot of the time we get in our own way, and it can be really hard to swallow that pill because, of course, as people who are very goal-oriented and, like, who are perfectionists and always want to grow, like, you don't want to hear from yourself that you are the thing that's stopping your growth. But most of the time, that's really what it is. And I think, like, at a certain point, you have to stop, I don't know, maybe blaming all of these, like, things from your childhood, like your childhood trauma and like your past, and start accepting that like the only way those things will be fixed is if you take it upon yourself to do the work. It's way easier to blame someone than actually do the work, because the work means you have to confront a lot of things and a lot of like habits that you've built over the years that you're not really proud of, or you have to confront things about yourself that you've been avoiding because you don't like those things about you. But you just have to do that, and that's part of the process. And yesterday I was doing that process. Was it freaking hard? Why, yes. Yes, it was. And I was crashing out, and ultimately, though, I ended up feeling better. Like, I tried doing some exposure therapy for myself, and I, like, asked again a friend for feedback, and I like, losing my mind throughout the whole thing? Yes. But I also came out of it a little bit stronger and felt a little bit better. Like going through the internal battle of like, oh my god, I literally put myself out there and this is like really scary for me, but I'm alive. And I did that. And did I feel like I was dying in the whole process of it? Yes. Did I die? No. And now I'm a little bit stronger. Now I have a little bit more experience. But yeah, like, that's honestly what I wanted to talk about. I feel like a lot of the time we pretend there's a villain in our story to make it more interesting and also to make it easier for ourselves to cope with like the things that we're going through. Even though the reality is that like we're making decisions every single day, and the only person who is the one who ends up following through with that decision is you. So whether you choose to do this, whether you choose to do A or B, like that's up to you. And if you regret that in a couple days, like you can't blame anyone else. That's ultimately the decision was up to you when you made your decision. Obviously, there are things that are out of your control. I'm not talking about that. But largely, like, it's really easy to avoid the work and to avoid the actual problem and blame other people and blame other circumstances than to do any of the work that you need to do to actually solve the problem. Also, I think another thing I wanted to mention was you know that concept of like analog bags? It's like a thing that's going around on social media where people have a bag, a purse, a bag of like activities you can do without your phone. So like people have coloring books with coloring supplies, a book to read. What else do they have? I don't know, like puzzles, I guess. A Kindle. They have like all of these like a camera. I think a camera is one pretty popular one. Okay, sorry. But they have like this bag of all these activities that you can do without your phone. And you know, when I first heard of the concept of an analog bag, I thought it was like pretty gimmicky because that's literally just a bag for your hobbies. And do I think it's just another one of those like social media trends that perpetuates you to buy more things and for you to buy this specific bag or this specific coloring book so you're off your phone? Yes, of course I totally think it's like that. Like, I think an analog bag is actually just a purse. But I was cleaning my room today and I found The Artist's Way, which is a book, if you don't know, that like it's supposed to be, I think, like a 12-week process to help you connect yourself to like artistically, spiritually, something like that. I don't know, haven't read the book, right? That's the point. I haven't read the book and I'm like, oh my god, I've been meaning to read this. I should really get on it. Okay, so there's that. And then I also found like this embroidery kit or a set that like has the design. I just have to do the embroidery part. And I was like, oh my god, I haven't done this either. I like should put this somewhere. Then I found my sketchbook, which I used to do like alcoholic marker drawings on. And I was like, let me put that on the stack. When I saw all those three things on the stack, I was like, oh, this would be convenient if it was in a bag. And then that's when it clicked for me. Like, that's why people have analog bags or whatever. So maybe I'll do one of those. I still the name of an analog bag feels like a gimmick to me. But you know, if it helps me get off my phone, then yay. Speaking of getting off my phone, I did do the quarterly Instagram temporarily deactivate season thing that I do every single quarter. God, that was an awful sentence. But yeah, I deactivated my Instagram just because I felt like I had been on my phone too much. And you know, when your mental health is like a bit of a yikes and then you realize you're on your phone more, so you like deactivate your Instagram to hopefully save you. That's me. I'll let you know how that goes. Honestly, I'm gonna try to go for as long as possible, as long as I can. I don't have any events anytime soon that require me to low-key network and get people's Instagrams, so we'll see how this goes. But yeah, that's basically how I'm doing. Again, just wanted to talk about how sometimes there is no villain, it's just you. Oh my god, looking in the mirror. I have a mirror right there. There's no point because you won't be able to see my own reflection, but whatever. Whatever. And also analog bags. That's it. Okay. Hopefully you have a great day. I really hope you have a great weekend. And whoever is listening to this right now and wherever you are in your life, I hope things get better. Okay, that's all. Bye.